So I guess that's the last of the questions and points we wanted to hit on through this interview. I guess we'll just kind of end this with some closing remarks.
Sure.
So Bob and I met a year and a half, 2 years ago in the fall of my first term on exec. We got dinner with Bob and Lou Lier, who Lou Lier was also very influential.
Who was hosted by Landon Fry.
Yeah. Landon Free made the introduction, which, thanks Landon. I'm sure Landon's watching sometime.
But yes, we were concerned at that time, Lou and I were. We had heard that there were some problems about separation possibilities within the Alumni Association, and there were a lot of changes going on with the Alumni Association at that point also. And Landon Fry invited Lou and I to come to this lunch or supper with the exec board at that time. And that's where I first met.
I sat next to Bob. So.
Right, and on the other side was Alex Smart.
Yep.
And so I was in good company. But at any rate, as a result of that, it just sort of flowed. I wanted to say something, and I think I've lost my train of thought.
Well, I really enjoyed our discussion. I really got thinking about, the history of the organization. Members come in and they see how we do things, but they don't realize, there's been 40 years of students doing this, and there's been a long history, and the success of our members is incredible. I mean,
It is.
We've got very successful alumni from our organization. And noticing how as a student your involvement in relationships and networking and that you do outside the classroom can really have a great effect on your life skills and becoming a White House Fellow or something like that.
It is. Just to finish that train of thought, I think Lou and I came that night prepared to offer our help and support. But they already had a tentative plan to survive, and they didn't need our help, is the bottom line. And again, the strength of the organization that continued made that possible, and I know that chapter is now ending with the Alumni Association, but there's a new chapter, and I hope a lot of continued success. It seems like that could only be positive, and I'm just so pleased we can see the organization continuing into the future.
Yeah, I'm very excited for our new relationship with the Office of the Vice Chancellor for Institutional Advancement.
Right.
And just all kinds of creativity. The membership is fantastic, creating new ideas and really making things their own. And I think that creative freedom will be there.
One thing that happened also was that as a result of the reunion celebration, I decided, would you believe, to go on Facebook. I'd never been on Facebook. I hardly know how to turn on a computer, but I took a chance, and I had a Christmas list of maybe 150 students, but Facebook is a little more personal than Christmas cards. And so 20 years or 30 years between seeing a lot of these faces and so forth, I could see what successes they'd had, where their families, in many cases, were graduating from school, high school or college. It's just been so good. I wish I had done it years ago rather than wait until. I'm a little slow sometimes on things, but yeah, go ahead, Kev. Maybe you can.
Yeah, and with our reunion, so last spring of 2016, it was the 40th anniversary of SAA. So we decided to host a grand reunion, and we invited as many alumni as we could. I think we had about a little over 60 alumni come, about 20 different campus administrators and former advisors.
And over a span of years too.
Yeah, yes, and it was great. We got people from early years, up until, people who graduated in 2015. And then we had, all of our membership was able to attend with it. So we had about 150 people there altogether.
Right.
We had the advisors speak on their different segments over the years. Bob talked for like 50 minutes.
It was a short.
I know we had Patrick Bakke talk about the SA Alumni
Right.
Network. And then we had Lauren Taylor give an address from the Alumni Association. But it was a very successful event, and hopefully something that we can repeat at some point in time in the future. And hopefully these videos kind of initiate more discussion on the earlier years.
Right.
With talking to Bob and the appreciation for the past, I gained numerous mentors within SAA, namely Landon Free, who's my official mentor, and Craig Milken has been very helpful, and Ed Helena, whom I met at the reunion.
Jen
And
Janovis.
prior to that, Jen Janovis.
Hopefully get involved too.
Yes, and I had a conversation with Terry Ludwig, who's all the way in New York.
Isn't that wonderful?
And so it's really great people to meet. The Illini networking is incredible, especially within SAA. If you find somebody and you're out working with another SAA alumni, it's that immediate connection, which really goes a long way.
Another aspect I wanted to mention was the legacies. I had known of several of the people I had kept in touch with, but just in the last year or two, Debbie Berg had a son that was in SAA that graduated, and Monica Milken is now the current president. Her dad, both Debbie and Craig were together probably in 1979, 1980 years at the very beginning. And I guess a couple years ago, Ann Davenport told me that her daughter was the president of SAA at Ohio State while she was in school. So I'm sure I'm not aware of near the number of things that have happened, but it's part of that connection. When I went on Facebook, I would look for a name I remembered, and if I found it, and you don't find a lot of them, over half the people aren't on Facebook, so I'm only dealing with a segment, and not all those names I remember, I'm sure. So I have 200 or 300 now on Facebook.
Bob, you're really popular.
But I don't know, the connections, they will have 6 or 8 or 12 friends that I already am on Facebook with. So their connections with each other and so forth, those lifetime friendships, and I don't know, it extends, I'm sure, to staff members as well as people like myself, but it's just heartening to see all that or can take place and will take place.
So you wanted to touch a little bit on Craig and...
Oh yes, Craig and Josh, the rest of the story. Craig graduated first, I believe. Josh was a 5 or 5.5 year student for graduation. But Craig went to St. Louis U for law school, came back to Springfield to start his career. Boy, he became managing partner in Springfield for one of their largest law firms, and then on to Washington, D.C., where he's now the managing partner for a much larger law firm that does quite a bit of lobbying in Washington. But Josh, when he graduated, went back to Springfield. He was the traveling secretary for Governor Thompson, and Josh graduated about the same time, well, I guess a little before Craig did, but they lived together as friends, and it was started to be a little hard. Josh, his health started to deteriorate. He ballooned in weight, didn't really take care of himself, I guess is the thing, and it was very hard on both of them, seeing all this happen. And in 1988, it would have been, Josh was maybe 28 years old at the time. He boarded a plane to go to Florida to visit his dad, and he had a cold evidently and went into a coma and never came out of it. A lot of talent, just a wonderful person. He and another young lady, Maureen O'Malley, who also died very young, are the only two that I'm aware of at this time that that happened to. But both of them, especially, well, I shouldn't say especially one over the other, but it was just unfortunate. But everybody else, to my knowledge, has survived up to this time. Of course, they're still kids, you know. Right.
Yeah, and hey, think about it. I know that our numbers are probably different, but there's probably about 1,600 SA alumni out there.
Right,
So,
right.
it's a large network. It's great to get involved with the SA Alumni Network, and meeting over the spring and staying connected as alumni. Because I know I've met some of my best friends are in SA, and I hope to be hanging out with them when I'm your age, Bob, which is about 45. Is that how old you are?
Yeah, in there, right in there. Yeah.
Plus or minus 40 years.
But it's been wonderful having you as a friend, Kip. It just sort of happened, and I hope we can continue our relationship for many years. If I have that many, right? But I'd like just to say, are we about ready?
I think we are.
Okay. I would just like to say it's kind of on my mind that those of us of the past would like very much to send our greetings to those of the present and future, and best wishes.
Bob, are you trying to quote Alma?
I thought that was original.
Oh my goodness.
And go Illini.
Yeah, go Illini.